Hey, it's the Profit Answer Man, Rocky Lalvani. If you're new to the podcast, check out my interview with Mike Michalowicz. It's episode number 2. If you want to hear about each chapter in the Profit First book, go back and listen to episodes 3 through 13. Episode 1 is the why and how. On the Profit Answer Man, we learn money mastery without all the complicated accounting mumbo-jumbo using a simple system. Your accountant is busy documenting your transactions and creating a rearview mirror of what happened. My guess is you don't even look at the reports they sent you. If you're like most business owners, you struggle with this, and it's not your fault. We aren't taught money in school, and accountants aren't taught how to be profitable. The Profit First system created by Mike Michalowicz works, and he certified me to help you implement the system in your business. Remember, the new equation is sales minus profit equals expenses. Let's face it, without cash flow, you can't pay your employees, buy needed materials, or pay your mortgage and support your family. I help you to do that and more, so you can focus on the parts of the business you love and receive the rewards for your labor and investment into your business. The stronger you are as a business owner, the more jobs you create, the better we are as a country. Small business owners are the backbone of America, and for that, you deserve to be well rewarded. Just remember, more revenue does not equal more profit. That's why we focus on the bottom line. Sales is the lifeblood of your company. But you better make sure that it's not unprofitable to begin with, or becomes unprofitable because you cut deals to bring in cash, or make a sales goal. Our topic today is how to build and manage your sales team. Rene's in a situation most business owners dream of. He hasn't had to find a new client in over 13 years. After having led over 2,500 sales meetings in the last decade, he's discovered that there is no such thing as bad salespeople. Rene is the creator of the part-time sales management system, which redefines the relationship between small business owners and their sales team. Sales is the lifeblood of any business, and most businesses bleed to death because they're too focused on finding the right people and less focused on building the right environment. Get ready to have your sales mindset rewired and your business transformed. Let's meet Rene. Welcome to the Profit Answer Man, Rene Zamora. It's great to have you join us today.
Hey, man, it's good to be here. Looking forward to it.
Can you share a little bit about yourself and your business?
Sure. A little bit about myself is I'm an OG, okay? 63, been around a while. I've been doing this fractional sales management thing for 16 years. Wrote a book called Part-Time Sales Management. And I love people. I love salespeople. So that's a little different for a lot of people, okay? And I do believe the majority of salespeople out there are good people. And there's a minority that gives us a bad rap. So we're out there finding and working with good people. Sales and sales management, my whole career, with a little bit of corporate work early on, into some small business. The wireless business was my last place before I started consulting 20 years ago. And we're building a team now. And I have grandkids and kids and wife of 38 years. And we still love each other immensely. So that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
And that's good to hear that she still loves you. That means you've done it right. Probably good at salesman. That's probably what it comes down to.
That was my account management stuff. Okay.
So let's face it. Sales is the lifeblood of any business, right? At the end of the day, nothing happens until, well, A, the sale is made, and B, the revenue is collected. Because without revenue actually collected, we run into to major issues.
Yeah.
One of the struggles I think that a lot of small businesses have is finding and affording the right salespeople. Mm-hmm. But I know you talk about, before we even do that, is to build the right environment.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is having all your structure in place. Guess it would be similar as, accounting for your money. If you don't have all the right buckets and how it's going and your liabilities and everything in place, it's a little bit harder to manage and have someone like yourself help them with their finances. So in sales, it's about getting expectations clear, which starts with job descriptions. Get the job description dialed down, get your expectations of new people ramp up period, your quotas. Do you want new business, existing business? Getting your compensation dialed in. So making sure that your compensation, like we were talking about earlier, is profitable for the company and for the employee. And it's something that they feel like is a fair trade. So it's got to be a win-win for everybody. Then it's having a meeting accountability. I see your book Traction on the back. Gino Wickman talks about a meeting cadence. We've been doing that. Weekly sales meeting is very important for us. There's a structure that allows for these expectations are just the beginning of accountability. Then there's the monitoring of expectations, which is accountability. And the weekly meetings allow for that team accountability. So then there's the open dialogue. I mean, forecasting can be a joke in most places because someone wants to hear a big number in corporate world, so everyone gives them big numbers. And then they all, give away deals at the end of the quarter to try to meet those numbers instead of honesty. Yeah, I see you want to say something. Go ahead.
So if you're giving away deals at the end of the quarter to meet a sales forecast, many times they're not profitable.
Correct.
Or you've really crushed the profitability margin, so you're working harder when you don't have to. And so you have to be very, very careful with that. So when we look at sales, we look at it as a math equation.
Okay.
And every business is slightly different, but the first thing is activity. So how many people has the salesperson seen? How many appointments are out there? Or you could even start with, however they do their prospecting. How many leads have they gotten? Whatever it is. How many appointments? Sure. And then from the appointments, how many closed deals? And so we're looking at percentages because now we have trackable results. And we also can figure out where in the process there might be a problem. So a sales rep who got tons of leads and sees lots of people and has lots of appointments and has no sales, it tells me there's a problem there's something going on in that conversation that's not going right. And so then that's fixable. And then clearly from the number of sales and the average sales price, we can come up with revenue targets. And even the average sales price gets affected by what you talked about. If your sales reps are discounting and what flexibility and freedom you give them. So to me, these are all metrics that are measurable and should be tracked and should be monitored, because then you can look and see who truly are your best salespeople, not the guy who's showing up in your office every morning talking about your favorite sports team and making you feel good with a cup of coffee, right? You got it.
We're not storytelling is part of a sales meeting, but it's limited. Okay. We want to have stories that are helping everyone get better. So we always start a sales meeting off of what's going right. Issues will always surface, so that's fine. We'll deal with those. And we should as a sales manager. But what's going right. I always challenge people to tell me not just what happened right. Oh, I closed a deal. What did you do right last week? What decision, what action, which attitude did you do right last week that helped you move things forward? Because that's how we get team learning going on. And this is kind of I want to address two things. One, I can do a little bit more on that environment you talked about. So this is also part of that environment that constant learning, getting improving. So we got accountability, team accountability, people learning from each other. And then we have monthly one-on-ones with a more individual accountability. But this environment that you can create now, obviously this all sounds like there's people there. What if you don't have people? You have one or no, and you're just going to start building your sales team. You still got to put all these structures and make this commitment to this type of environment, because this attracts someone. And on the point I want to say about forecasting, you have to have an open environment that allows people to say, like, my pipeline is terrible. Okay. Yes, it's empty. And rather than keep old stuff in there to make everyone feel good right now. So we need that. That's a type of environment that's transparent, open, so then we can get to the root cause, like you were talking about, and you see different numbers that aren't working. Well, then let's drill down and see how we can fix that. But if you don't have honesty, then you just start fixing the wrong things or ignoring things you should be working on. So anyways, that's a little bit about what I wanted to share on that.
And sometimes it's not the sales rep's fault. So in other words, if you have somebody, let's say they're in inside sales, it's the business owner's job or the marketing people to make sure that phone's ringing.
Yep, you bet.
And that's not the sales rep's job necessarily to make the phone ring. So we have to have appropriate metrics for appropriate people. As you talked about with traction, somebody else needs to own the metric. Yep. How many times does the phone ring?
You got it.
And we need to do that. So everything needs to be done appropriately. What I always tell my clients, be careful what you incentivize because you will get it.
Yes. I think it's great. Wise advice. I'm with you all the way.
So how do you pick appropriate incentives?
Well, it starts with, what does the company want? Like you said, incentivize what, be careful because you're going to get it. Well, find out what you want to get first. Okay. So that's number one. I think I talked earlier, like, do you want new business? Do you want growth in existing business? So you want to figure out your incentives there. I was talking to someone about that this week. And sometimes people get into self-generated leads versus company. That could be, if you need more there, maybe you incentivize that more. But make sure your finance guy is telling you that it's actually worth what you're going to pay, for that lead, because you're taking them away from other activity. So it's always balancing out. There's a cost to generate leads with a salesperson's time finding new clients or advertising, bringing it in. You just got to see where it's the right balance. What question was I answering for you?
Properly incentivizing
All right.
what you're looking for. So tying your incentives to the results you want and making sure that's truly what you wanted. Because I remember one time I was working for a company, and in this other division, they didn't have a good way to track actual sales because they were happening through distributors or through other places. So they couldn't track it to the rep. So they incentivized them to come up with some kind. If the end client filled out this lead form showing interest, they were incentivizing them on that. So the reps were out there just going to clients and going, look, I know you're not sure if you want to get this. Why don't you fill out the form so we can at least get the process rolling? You don't need to buy it.
Right.
And so they got what they incentivized, but it didn't necessarily result in sales. And again, the same thing. If you incentivize for the number of leads coming in, I'll get you 1 million leads. You may not like them.
Well, it's another reason why, it's not exactly on incentivizing, but it's just on what are you watching. I'm not a big fan. Maybe it's just the level of salespeople I work with, but I'm not a big fan on focusing so much in today's activity. I'm really focusing more on the conversations. Let's get to that. A salesperson needs to be able to get a conversation, unless, of course, I'm in that. I have a team that's all about outbound, constant activity. That's a different story. But in general, your normal, account executive, business development rep, whatever your title is for them, someone who needs to go generate a meeting and then go ahead and have that meeting and work it towards a close. I'm more interested in how many new conversations and new first-time meetings that they have. That's the beginning of the pipeline, because if they're not able to get that, then I have a green person that really doesn't, either they're not a salesperson or they're too green to understand how to navigate conversations to get there.
But that doesn't mean we need to incentivize that. We can still incentivize
Correct.
the sale. And
you bet.
If you're giving salespeople pricing authority, be very careful because, again, you want to make sure you incentivize profitable sales, which is what you talked about before, because at the end of the quarter, they're just dropping sales because they know they'll get paid, not worrying about the actual profitability. And that's why pre-COVID, everyone said, go to the auto dealer on the last day of the month, because they had a quota to make. And when they had a quota to make, they had rebate incentives coming from the manufacturer. They didn't care if they were profitable on the car. They needed a volume number. And until they hit it, they cut deals. And that's what you're going to get. So it's figuring it out and then making sure that your salespeople are affordable. And what I mean by that is that they are factored into the variables of your overall costs, and you make sure that it's a reasonable cost for the efforts that they're bringing in.
I think you're right. And that when a business owner believes that there's plenty of salespeople out there that can work for them and be successful, they'll adapt. They'll bend those rules, because the rule is define your role, define the type of person you need, and then create the environment or have the environment, and then go sell it to the people that fit this. Versus, I got to get Mary back. If I just could get Mary, she was awesome. Our Bill, he was our best salesperson. I've never been able to get Bill again. And you keep looking to try to get that person. Forget that. Get someone who fits at your company and will do the work to meet your expectations.
That reminded me, there are different kinds of salespeople. And what I mean by that, there are hunters who go looking for business. And there are more account managers who are very good at maintaining business. And there are different personalities in sales. And if you don't put the right personality in the right position, they can actually harm your business instead of help it. Because they're doing the wrong things in front of the potential clients or the current clients that you're working with.
Yeah, exactly. I think that people hold on to likable account management sales folks that are really assigned to be hunters, or at least a higher percentage of their day, because they're likable and they take care of customers. And so you hang on to them longer. So when you really need to go find someone else.
And it's not easy to pull the plug and make hard decisions. And
the worst part of the job for any manager is still fun.
It is. So what are some of the biggest struggles you see with business owners when it comes to hiring the right salespeople?
Everything I stated before. The majority don't define clearly what they're looking for or what they need for the whole scheme of things. Okay, so that's the biggest thing. And then the other thing is just it's hard for owners that have had not been able to find consistent success, with a group or being able to turn someone over and then find success. If they've had the opposite, where they've been disappointed, their belief in finding someone has been worn down. And so it's that thing, you get what you fear, you get what you believe. And if you believe there's not trusting salespeople out there, you're going to interview them again and you're going to hire one again, most likely. And you're going to reinforce what you did because, it's, it just happens. So I think it's the belief, not getting clear about what you need and then just leaving them alone. As far as sales go, just kind of hoping that they'll just do the job. And if they're not, then the micromanagement presses in. So those are just some things there that I see that go on.
I think a lot of business owners think that salespeople are money motivated, and as long as they throw money at the sales rep, they'll get what they want.
Right.
Is that the case?
I mean, that's what the larger belief is, and it does happen, and it still doesn't work. I mean, there's just so many studies. You just Google anything regarding what don't Google salespeople, just Google what motivates employees, because salespeople are employees. They just happen to have the opportunity to earn more, but there's just people, and they're just skilled at having conversations. So it's not the case.
So what are the things that motivate employees?
Meeting the expectation, winning as a team. There's more people that are more interested in that, not letting their teammate down, but it requires creating a team environment. Many times sales teams are left to be just a bunch of individuals, and so they can be not healthy competition, unhealthy competition. It's fine to have competition and drive that. That's another thing that motivates, certain hunting type sales teams is that competition. But when most people are working hard and performing, people don't want to let each other down, and they'll do their job. When one person's carrying the load and 5 people aren't, that person's probably money motivated, but the other ones obviously aren't. And so, or they're just have a high pride, a good work ethic. And that's where management comes in, is to not to motivate people, but to provide opportunity for people to look themselves in the mirror and say, do you want to be like good or not?
I think one of the things I've also found is you have to find salespeople who are excited about what you have to offer. Some salespeople will sell anything. They don't care. But I think long term, they don't do well. Whereas people who truly believe in what you're doing or what the product is are going to come across much more genuine and have the ability to generate much more revenue. And so that comes back to the whole hiring process, is knowing, are they in alignment with your company and your mission, values, and purpose, which means you need to know them first so you can hire to them, regardless of whether it's a salesperson or not.
I try to coach when we're hiring, we do, and I try to coach the owners to let's find people that want to work for you, and then we'll see if they're qualified to do the job. I want them to want to work for your company first.
And I think that's a big part of it. The other thing I see on the other side is sometimes we get salespeople who tend to create a lot of drama. And if sometimes, oh, is it all the time? Okay. A lot of them create a lot of drama. And when they're really good and they're bringing in revenue, what do you do? Because it's like, I don't want to fire my best salesperson.
Right. Well, so I guess first thing you have to do is make sure what drama, complaining, exaggeration is kind of all the same thing there. And it happens in many sales teams with producing salespeople. And what it's really telling me, what I've learned is telling me is people aren't listening. So we as managers or owners have kind of, we don't want to hear it. We're not getting to the core issue. And how you lower that, the volume, you lower the frequency of someone creating drama, is you work with them to get to, all right, what's the core? If we don't get this delivered by Friday and we're going to lose this customer, I mean, that's it, they're done, and blah, 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 and get that truck out there, and okay, whatever. Okay, so wait a minute. So tell me, what's the problem? You got to work it back down. So what's the problem? We've missed three times. Blah, blah. Okay, can we get it? Have you checked and see, what they're going to do? But you don't want to fix too much, but you want to see what's the core issue. The core issue is this: we're making promises and we're not keeping them. All right. Okay, let me go work on that.
Who's making the promise? The sales rep or the company, right?
let's say it's the company. Okay, let's say the company's making the promise. I mean, if the salesperson is, then the core issue is on them. But if it's the company, and the company's asking for forgiveness a lot, and that's where some of the drama comes, but no one wants to hear it. They'll throw the excuse back to the salesperson, ask them to go, that's your job, go keep them happy. So there's a core issue being missed. And many times there is, once salespeople, especially high performers, see that management will solve core issues and keep them not just fixed this week, but make a system fix It minimizes, though. The noise goes down. Does it go completely? No, because these people care. That's why they're the Brahmas, because they want to satisfy the customers. You never want that. You don't want that edge to go away. But we have to look ourselves as management and leadership as what are they really saying, not just the noise. What's underneath the noise to see if we can fix it. And that's how I've been able to reduce the noise from salespeople and then I call them out on it. There was one team I called out on when I first started, the sales meetings were basically a complaint session and dog pile on that complaint. Someone throw the thing that's not working in the middle and let's all throw more on top of it. And I found this TED talk about, I forget the gentleman's name, but anyways, he's like this 6 sins or 5 sins, 7 sins of communication. And it was all about these guys, not complaining and, tell the truth and so on. I throw it to him and I said, guys, they're all going like, yeah, that's bad stuff. I said, is there any reason we should keep this? I mean, if there's any in here that you think we should hold on to, I'll go to bat for you. And it's like, basically it exposed their negativity. And it was a habit. All it was, Rocky, was a habit of complaining. So we got to lead. We can't complain as leaders. We got to see what the core problem is, address it, and then expect people to be adults.
And I forget what it was that I was told about that, but it was along the lines of when everyone's in that situation, asking the simple question of, do you want to complain about it or do you want to fix it?
There you go. That's great.
And it just changes the conversation from, well, let's fix it. Okay. What do we need to do first? What are the different things that we need to address? Let's start working on it. So now you're taking it out of the negativity and you're putting it into problem solving mode. And now you can start solving those problems.
That's right. Someone I think once said, let's have our meetings be solution based instead of problem based. Okay. And it's more fun.
So the next problem is managing these salespeople because the business owner wants to go do what they enjoy. And my guess is managing salespeople may not be at the top of their list. I know finances isn't for our listeners.
Okay.
This might be number 2. I'm not sure.
Right.
So how do we hire an elite sales manager for less than $61,000 a year?
Well, that's, you just kind of teed me up here. So that's kind of what we do. We're fractional sales management. So we work, you find experienced people that can come work at your company. That's what you want, right? You want good, experienced sales managers. So you can count on them. But how do you attract them? So there's really, I didn't know what I was walking into when I started this 16 years ago, but someone just told me, why don't you be a sales manager for small businesses, like a handful. And I'd never really thought of doing that, but it just sounded like I had. And so a week later, I had my first client and I've never turned back. But what I've come to learn is there is a small business, I call it a small business sales management dilemma. The dilemma is this. Okay, if you've grown as a company and you see the potential, you found your market, you got your product or service, you can do it, but you can't seem to scale up. You're just kind of stuck there and you kind of need a sales leader to help you have the belief of the right people, get them oriented, set the culture and all that stuff. Great, let's go advertise for someone. Well, all those people are working at corporations, okay? They're working for nice salaries, benefits, and all that stuff over there. And so that's one thing. So the hiring pool is small, to get your experienced manager. And the real reason I've seen why you can't find one is because the challenge at your company isn't strong enough for a good experienced sales manager. Okay, so that's why they end up being a salesperson and a manager, or they end up doing other work at the company to kind of justify their salary. And so what happened with this fractional sales management, if I'm working with 5 or 6 companies, that's challenging to me. I'm learning 5 or different industries. I'm working with a bunch of salespeople. I'm working with different owners. That's a fun challenge to me. And so what me and my consultants are able to do is provide that senior level, over 20 years of sales management experience in the companies for, under $5,000 a month in most cases. And so they get the professionalism they need, similar to the fractional CFO work that you do with your clients. Just leveraging our ability over a wider customer base.
And that makes a lot of sense. And either you'll get results or it makes it easy to change you, right?
That's right. We're the easiest ones to hire and the easiest ones to fire. And we don't do contracts. I don't know what everyone else does out there, but we're just month to month. We feel like we're part of the team. It should be like an employee type of arrangement, but it's not. That anyone on the team is there to produce a result, and we're either doing it or we're not doing
it. I think we very much are in alignment with that. We don't have contracts cancelable. Like if we're not providing value, cut the cord. Same thing for you. If we're not providing value, we're not doing it. We don't fit with your culture or whatever the issue is. Cut the cord, move on. And it's much easier to do it when you have fractional people than when you have to go through this more difficult process.
And then if the relationship does work well and the growth is going to a higher level, then we've hired our replacement, and we're there for transition, and it's comfortable and it's easy and it's supportive. We just turn into a consultant instead of a manager at that time. And it's just fine. It's good stuff.
That it is. If people would like to learn more about your company and how to find you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Go to the website. I always say, if you're looking for a sales manager now, go to salesmanagernow.com and you can find us, and you can just find a bunch of information there. If you just need tips on sales or management, it's all there. If you want to talk to us, you can find out how to do that too.
Cool. And we will put that in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been great.
There are parts of the business we love. There are parts of the business we hate. Some of you love sales. Some of you hate it. Some of you don't mind managing your sales team. Some of you would rather be the visionary and go do something else. Figure out where your skills are. Figure out where the things are that you don't want to do, and then find the people to help you do them. Today's work of getting fractional help is phenomenal. You get A-player experts on your team for pennies on the dollar, which makes it so much more affordable. So think about, where is it that you need your help? Find the experts, plug them in, go do what you love, and be more profitable.
If you'd like for us to be a part of your profitability journey, we have different programs available ranging from do-it-yourself to one-on-one coaching. Our course, The Profit Blueprint, teaches you everything you need to know to transform your profitability. There are 3 different tiers ranging from DIY to done with you, so that businesses of all sizes can get the support that's best. Join the waitlist in the show notes to get more information and be a part of the next cohort. If you want a done-for-you service, you can hire us as your Chief Profitability Officers. We only work with a handful of clients, so they all get our full attention. We work with business owners who have or are growing to $500,000 to $10 million in revenue. You can use the scheduling link in the show notes to get on our calendar for a good fit conversation to see if we're the right people to support you.
This episode of the Profit Answer Man podcast is brought to you by SMBpodcastnetwork.com. The network is a collection of podcasts and shows from around the internet which focus on bringing you interviews with amazing guests who share actionable advice, ideas, and information for small and medium-sized business owners and entrepreneurs. Visit www.smbpodcastnetwork.com to find more great shows and easily subscribe to be notified of new episodes. It's a great way to discover quality content. If you've discovered us via the network, then I hope you enjoy today's show and will consider subscribing directly so you never miss our episodes. Don't forget to check out my other podcast, Richer Soul, where we talk about life beyond money and how to live that ultimate life and become a better leader in your company. As we close out, let's repeat the mantra. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. Have an abundant and profitable week.